Good morning, everybody. Or actually, it's good afternoon. It's 1:10 in the afternoon on a Saturday, my favorite day. It's my favorite day. And I'm giving Rhett a walnut. It's pretty weak, like when I started doing it. It seems, yeah, there you go. She's got it started. I gave it a little crack with a nutcracker and then I handed it to her. All right, so we are working on deleting meshes, right? Wrote I wrote a bunch of code to get some stuff working. Um, and then when it was all done, um, I was I was presented with incontrovertible proof that I have a memory leak when it comes to the um, 3JS mesh. So a memory leak. And it's so weird because I'm so comfortable with this now. Like, oh, it's a memory leak. Okay, that's easy. But what a year ago today, if you said memory leak, I just sort of went into a weird, like, I don't know what it was, like just a short circuit in my brain. Like, okay, wait, no, shut it down. Shut it down. There's information coming that is of little or no valuable and maybe even negative information. Like, my brain is like, oh my God, that's negative information or something like that. I don't know. But like now you say memory leak and it's just a simple thing. I don't know. So I don't know why that phrase used to just really trigger me. Um, what's interesting to me about that phrase is I guess it was because early on when I started coding in basic language, which I don't believe there's any sort of, I don't think there was any kind of memory management. It was a lot like JavaScript where you just just it took care of things. But some people started like in C and C++, and those people in C specifically, I believe you actually have to control. You have to dole out. You have to be aware of the memory that you have specified, the addresses, and then you put data in there. And then if you forget about it, um, and then you quit using it, that's a memory leak, right? Because memory, there's data in a place where you don't have access to it or where you don't where you're not using it. It might even be where you don't have access to it because I know that like there's like different parts of the code of the hardware where different pieces of information are held, and some of the information is like what they call, I believe they call pointers, which point to other pieces of information. And I believe sometimes, I don't know this for sure, but I believe sometimes you will actually like delete the pointer, but that memory is still allocated. So you have to make sure that you deallocate that memory. We just don't even have that concept in JavaScript, and but we do have memory leaks, but we don't have the concept of deallocating memory because we do have some control over the pointer. Like we can make the variable is the pointer in this case. We can make the variable point to nothing, and then by default, then this thing called the garbage collector is supposed to come in and deallocate the code for the memory for you. But here is my proof that I have a memory leak, and that is, see, these all three of these describe things, right? So we have a ThreeJS camera, we have a ThreeJS geometry, we have a material and a mesh. Now, if I go to this and I say delete, and I come back, you see this still exists, even though we're not showing it. I, we can still access it. So the pointer, the mesh variables still. So I don't know if this is technically a memory leak, but we don't show it on the UI, and we have no way of ever showing this on the UI again. So I think we like it's not what we're looking at is not technically a memory leak, but we are looking at evidence of a memory leak. And honestly, memory leak was caused by our code because I don't delete it. So that's what we're doing now. We're going to come in and we're going to try to figure out how to delete this thing when it needs to be deleted. And so the first thing we want to do is we want to go to our mesh service. And sometimes I could do this and sometimes I can't. And I don't know exactly why. But if I go to definition, okay, let's try this. If I go to type definition, okay, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But I guess the type in the when it says type, it's referring to the class name as opposed to the definition of where I defined it within the same file. That is shifting. I don't know exactly why. In some projects it works that way, some projects it doesn't. It never works that way at work for me. But well, like I said, I don't really know. All right, so what we want to do here is we want to go to our. Okay, so we don't have a delete. And so I think all we probably want to do is just create a function called delete mesh by stmeshid. And see, like this does not have references to anything that I've created references to. So I've never created. Well, see, it actually has references to the ThreeJS geometry. So that means that behind the scenes, even though I'm not carrying a reference here, that geometry probably is still in memory because this mesh has a reference to the geometry that we just deleted. And this reference has this object has a reference to the material that we just deleted. So like that's what's so hard about memory leaks in JavaScript is like it's like this really weird thing where you're like um if you can see it, it's a leak, right? Like if you deleted it and you don't want to make use of it anymore, but you can see it, you have a way, it's a leak, but like if you don't have a way to see it, how do you know if it's not there? It's really like almost philosophical in nature. Um, and like some things just aren't fleshed out and they may never ever get fleshed out. Um, the world, like, I don't know. We are in a time right now where it's like if you, um, where, you have to be really careful with, comfortable with not quite understanding everything. And I'm going to return a boolean just because, and I believe what I typically do is I go like this. Um, delete, and then it's going to be this dot mesh dictionary stmeshid, and then I think I could even say return, right? I don't know if I typically do that, but I believe this delete, and this is one of the strangest, to me, one of the strangest lines of code you'll ever see in JavaScript. And it's not that it's strange, like if you come from other languages, I think they do stuff like this, but it's very rare that we have like a something like this where you have a function and then you have space and then you have the variable. Like I can't think of another. I'm sure there are other instances of this, but usually it's more like this. You have like a variable, like a function, and you just call it and you pass it in arguments. But and then this function returns. I almost feel like they should, or maybe it would. I mean, I guess you could, but it just feels like they should have a delete with a with attributes like a dot and then um, like or like that or delete. dot by object or something. Like I don't know. It's weird to me that they haven't ever done that, but apparently this does return a false. So like if a true or false a Boolean. So if I made this say, I said, oh, I want to return a string, like it's gonna be like, you can't return that. This is a Boolean. Now I don't think I normally do that in my other ones, but I do think this is a better way to do it. But I'm just going to go double check, just make sure that when I go look at like my geometry service, for example, and I look at the delete, that there's nothing that, I gotta publish my dictionary too. So almost forgot. So this won't even know that it could delete it if it, or that to update the screen if I don't do that. So this dot publish mesh dictionary. And we actually want to, so that changes things, right? Because we actually want to delete this. That's so funny because I don't think I did a direct return before, but yeah. So const delete result is equal to this. And again, and it's weird because like in this specific case, this is like a lot like one of my favorite people on TikTok right now is this guy that is just like he'll explain things and he'll be like, no, it's just like he'll be like, oh, does this spell? So if this is spelled like this and it sounds like this, then what does this sound like? And it's like a very similar thing. And then you're like, you say it, and he's like, no. And uh, like if like ear, we pronounce E-A-R, ear, and then he's like, so how do you pronounce B-E-A-R? And he's like, beer. And it's like, no, why would you think that? That's weird. But like normally 99, well, this number is changing every day, but like a lot of times, I still think the majority of the time, the order of what you do things matters. But in some cases, it doesn't because some things are done asynchronously. So the code just has to kind of keep trundling along while it's off doing something. This is an example where the order matters. So I had the result of this, but I needed to publish, but I need to publish after I delete. So now all we did was create a mesh, delete by mesh. We did not um, actually delete it. We aren't calling it. And if I remember this pattern that I've sort of, I don't know, force gumped my way into, just sort of stumbled into with slowly but surely grinding. Uh, I think what I will typically do is I go into the ST side because that's where we have a delete. And um, over here we need to also call after we delete this. It probably doesn't matter. So that's so funny. Okay, so this is delete an index. And then material service. Oh, oh, I'm deleting the material. There was like another thing though. So the material's getting deleted. See, because let's go ahead and add this. And see, well, I wouldn't even be able to make sense of this. It's a little creepy already. But the material has a reference to, I mean, it also has a reference to the geometry. So I'm wondering why when I delete, oh, this is delete material, ST material for ST mesh. Yeah, that is not what, so I'm in the wrong place altogether. I think, I think I'm in the wrong place because this is specifically to delete the material. Oh, yeah, I'm in the material. I want to be in the mesh, not the material. So let's go to ST mesh. And then Yeah, see, this is a lot more intense. All right, so that was how we deleted the material, but we never delete. So we actually, yeah, delete other things, but this time we want to also delete our, and see, we've even already recycled the mesh ID. So I think what we want to do is, it's kind of funny. I think it's almost like control. I think it was control. No, app Windows, and that will bring this little thing up. And my favorite one is not being shown, which is weird to me. I don't understand that. This is a new thing. Um, delete. I don't know what's going on. Um, did I click? Is this the one? I think maybe this is the one I have to. Yeah, there we go. Delete. Delete 3 mesh. 3. And then I'm going to put this, the little, I think I'm doing the little spider web to be a mesh. I'm trying to work on like it just feels like the right thing to do. Um, it feels uh, like these, it's easier to come up to speed on what's going on when I look in a file if I have these emoticons in there. So is there a 3? There we go. See, now I know it's like something from 3 and it's a mesh. And I guess I've actually, in some ways, I've actually had a little bit more time to analyze, right? Like I'm actually doing analysis by reimagining this whole thing in pictures um, instead of um, just in words, right? Like it's different. Like different, you use a different part of your brain. Okay, so mesh service. What is? I thought I tried that. Maybe not. Mesh. I keep getting confused and thinking. Delete. Save. Add this. And we gone. And that memory leak is gone. And next we'll do renderer, and I'll do renderer tomorrow. And I think the path is pretty clear on how to do this now. And then by scene, we're going to be cooking, and that's the last one, right? So we've seen a little spike in productivity, but that spike will end. But once that's done, once we have this working, I think we just get the unit tests right, get the end-to-end tests working, and then check on this thing on the is it 3? No, it's not the 3 table component. I think it is actually the 3 table component. Yeah, I don't think we need to do these assignments and all that. So I did watch Angular 22. I guess is coming out here shortly. For some reason, I thought it typically came out like in. I thought it was March and October was when the ThreeJS new ones uh, popped. Apparently they've made the signals work a little bit like or work in forms better. That was a big push, which I really like. And then they also made uh, I think they've made like they're making everything like on push now, which I believe has made basically is probably going to make have some subtle changes that maybe stuff won't work. But it's like one of those fascinating things because when you upgrade, creating an Angular 22 application is going to be different than upgrading an Angular 21 to Angular 22. And I think we've all understood that. I think most people understand that, but most people don't understand why. And like that's a perfect example. Like so Angular 21 applications by default are not on push, but Angular 22 applications by default are on push. So when you upgrade, they're going to likely take your existing code and they're going to probably leave it working as not on push. So whatever the other thing is, but they'll add whatever they need to do to make it not when you do the CLI to upgrade, it's going to be not on push. That so you it's but like if you were to create a new one from scratch and do the exact same thing, it would be on push. So um, that's going to be a very difficult um, so that would mean that like if two developers started and worked their first year, one was an Angular 21 application, one was an Angular 22 application. That means the guy that's working on Angular 21 and the guy who's working on Angular 22 would have would have different coding experiences. Like the way things work would be slightly different between the 21 and 22 guy. But it's worse than that because if you had one where that started as an Angular 21 and was built and now you've just upgraded it, and then you had another one that is started as an Angular 22, those two applications will probably work slightly different. And if you do additional work in 22, like we're going to do here, then you're likely going to have a mishmash of different technologies the way things work, and things will work one way in one component and a different way in a different component. And that's sort of the hardest part of upgrading is because for some strange reason when you go and I don't quite understand this, but when you go from like 21 to 22 and then in an organization then you go 23 and then you go 24 and you go 25, somebody thinks when things are weird because some section was built back when it was 21 and now it behaves different than the rest of the application, everyone just always at, at, assumes that the developer had the developer that did the upgrade had like a malintent, like they want that they were trying to set everybody up for failure or something like that, and I guess that is like deeply ingrained in software development. But anyways, so tomorrow we will start on render and then scene, and then I think when those two are done, we'll be back. Or like we'll do all the stuff that we do, the unit tests and end-to-end tests and all that, and then we will um, go back to. Then I think we'll actually be ready to go back to the where we were like a year ago with the update. So I think the idea is we'll come in here, you go to update, and I think what I wanted to do was see this is the way this is designed. It's taking up the whole screen. So like when you view it in this mode here, like this is what it's supposed to look like with its design. But I thought it would be a good idea to make it take up the whole screen with when you're in this view so that you can see more. But I do want basically two things to be kind of in the middle here. One is going to be like a little thing that will show it as it is intended. So you can see, so you can toggle back and forth between seeing it as it was intended and seeing it in zoomed in to here or taking up 100%. And then there's also, I want to add another one for zooming. So you can zoom in and out. It's very simple to do in 3. And I can't remember. I think it's a value of the scene. Um, but we are, and that'll be really nice when we do have scene because, man, yeah, that's going to make a huge difference. Because what's going to be nice is that then we can actually look at when I have the ThreeJS piece, I can actually look and I could have easily, what I would be able to do at that point, if I had that, is I could have come in, I could show you, hey, okay, so here's this, I think it's in the scene. Oh, let me go look at the scene. Oh, yep, there it is. Right. So, like, if we were like here and and let's say I was like, oh, I think the zoom is, it might be in the camera though. So we can look at that actually. So we have to imagine the scene and the render. And it could be in the renderer actually, but we can actually look at the camera, right? And we can see, oh, is there a zoom in here? No, there's not a zoom. Oh, yes, there is. Oh, it is in the camera. See? So that is actually where we'll where we'll do that. Um, the zooming, well, I guess, will be in the camera. So that'll be good. Anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.